Picture this. Marcus Crassus, once the richest man in Rome, lies defeated on a battlefield, his thirst for more gold and glory having led him to ruin. As a cruel punishment for his insatiable greed, his enemies pour molten gold down his throat, a chilling, literal end to a life consumed by wealth. Why do some people never feel they have enough? What drives this endless hunger? Welcome to the psychology of greed, where we'll explore what greed really is, how it differs from ambition, and what emotional and neurological roots make it so powerful. We'll examine greed across cultures, inside the brain, and in our daily lives, and ask, can greed ever be good? Greed isn't just wanting more, it's needing more, endlessly. Psychologists define it as an insatiable desire for wealth, status, power, or possessions, what Erich Fromm called a bottomless pit. No matter how much a person acquires, it never feels like enough. But don't confuse greed with ambition. Ambition has a finish line. You aim for a goal, reach it, and feel satisfied. Greed shifts the goalposts. Hit one milestone, the craving resets. It's not drive, it's addiction. Psychologists even measure it. I always want more. I'm never satisfied. These are classic markers of a greedy mindset. And here's the kicker. Greed isn't about how much you own. It's about how much you feel you lack. Someone with millions can be greedy, while someone with little can feel rich. It's less about assets and more about appetite. Behind greed's loud hunger often lies a quiet whisper, fear. Many greedy impulses are rooted in a scarcity mindset, a deep-seated belief that there's never enough to go around. This often forms in childhood. Growing up in poverty, instability, or emotional neglect can plant a lifelong fear of going without. Even with abundance, the old fear lingers, so we keep stockpiling, just in case. Then there's envy. We compare, we scroll, we see others with more and suddenly feel less. That perfect vacation photo or luxury car next door, it doesn't just inspire, it triggers us. Greed feeds on this endless cycle of comparison. And layered on top, entitlement, the belief that I deserve more than others, fuels ego-driven accumulation. Not just wanting more, believing you're owed more. The truth is, greed isn't born from strength or power. It often grows from fear, insecurity, and pain. It's not a flex, it's a craving for control, a misguided attempt to feel safe in a world that once felt uncertain. Greed isn't just emotional, it's neurological. When we get something we desire, money, power, possessions, our brain rewards us with a hit of dopamine, the same chemical released during eating, sex, or drug use. It feels good, so naturally, we want more. But here's the twist. Reward desensitization. Over time, the brain needs more to feel the same pleasure. That first bonus was thrilling. The 10th, barely a blip. The brain's pleasure circuit adapts and craves larger fixes. Even worse, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for judgment, empathy, and restraint, starts to lose control. Studies show that greedy individuals exhibit weaker emotional regulation, less empathy, and more impulsivity. They're not just chasing the reward, they're blind to the consequences. Greed rewires the brain like a behavioral addiction. It rewards us, numbs us, and pushes us to want again, even when it costs us peace, people, or purpose. Greed is no modern invention. Across civilizations, it's been condemned, often dramatically. The Greeks warned us with King Midas, whose golden touch turned his own daughter into metal. The Chinese, Tao Tia, a mythic beast of insatiable hunger, devoured endlessly, and itself. In Hindu texts like the Dharma Shastra, greed is labeled one of the greatest human failings. The Bible warns, "The love of money is the root of all evil," while the Quran speaks of those who pile up wealth and hoard it, facing ruin. Cultures differ, but on this point they agree. Greed destroys. And yet, in the 1980s, a new mantra emerged. Greed is good. Wall Street valorized excess, but the legacy? Boom and bust cycles, global inequality, and a rising sense that enough is never enough. Every era has battled greed. The outcomes may differ, but the warnings echo the same ancient truth. Greed devours the greedy. Is greed always bad? Not necessarily. In its mildest form, it can spark drive, innovation, and relentless persistence. Wanting more pushed humanity to invent, to grow, to strive. Some economists argue that this hunger for gain fuels capitalism itself. But here's the catch. Beyond a point, greed turns corrosive. Studies show that highly materialistic people often report lower life satisfaction, weaker relationships, and even a greater willingness to cheat or exploit others to get ahead. In corporate environments, unchecked greed has fueled scandals, from Enron to Wall Street collapses. The irony? Greedy individuals might earn more, but they often enjoy it less. When more is the only goal, enough disappears. A healthy dose of ambition is essential, but when desire becomes obsession, it crosses into greed. What drives success at first can eventually erode fulfillment and even self-respect. Greed doesn't just poison the self, it corrodes our closest relationships. In romance, it can show up as workaholism, emotional neglect, or choosing status over connection. When one partner prioritizes wealth or success at all costs, the relationship becomes a casualty. Love turns transactional, and intimacy fades. In friendships, greed breaks trust. When people are seen as stepping stones rather than companions, loyalty crumbles. No one wants to feel used. Worse still, greed is contagious. In group settings, one person's cutthroat behavior can shift the whole dynamic towards selfishness, undermining collaboration, honesty, and care. The tragedy? The greedy person often ends up isolated. The more they grab, the more disconnected they become from others and even from themselves. Greed isn't just about hoarding money or power. It's about eroding human connection. And in the end, what good is having it all if it leaves you completely alone? When greed scales up, its impact isn't just personal, it's civilizational. Today, the top 1% controls more wealth than half the global population combined. While a few hoard billions, many can't afford basic needs. This gaping inequality breeds resentment, unrest, and erodes social trust. Corporate greed fuels economic crises. Think of financial meltdowns, mass layoffs, and exploitative labor. When profits outweigh ethics, everyone else bears the cost. Then there's the planet. The tragedy of the commons describes how unrestrained self-interest leads to environmental destruction. Overfishing, deforestation, climate change. These aren't just accidents. They're the consequences of unchecked greed. And history warns us. When elites gorge while the masses suffer, collapse isn't far behind. Rome fell. So did Wall Street, more than once. Greed doesn't just break hearts, it breaks systems. And unless it's reined in, the bill comes due for all of us. Greed isn't always flashy. Sometimes it hides in quiet cravings and subtle habits. Ask yourself, do I constantly feel like I need more, even when I already have plenty? Do I feel a twinge of envy when others succeed? Have I ever compromised my values just to get ahead? These are red flags. Greed often slips in through the side door, disguised as ambition, hustle, or even deserving better. But beneath that hunger, it's usually fear, insecurity, or a wounded need for validation. Greed isn't just about excess. It's about emotional emptiness dressed up as success, and awareness is the first step toward freedom. So, how do we break free from greed's grip? It starts with a mindset shift, from scarcity to sufficiency, from never enough to this is enough. Try small daily practices. Gratitude journaling. Write down 3 things you're thankful for each day. It rewires your brain to notice what's already good. Set thresholds. Define what enough looks like in your finances, possessions, or goals, and honor those limits. Give generously. Acts of kindness and giving counteract hoarding instincts. Join a community. Real connection satisfies far more than accumulation. Reduce comparison. Unfollow accounts or habits that trigger envy or material pressure. You can also explore mindfulness, therapy, or reflecting on your personal values to anchor yourself deeper. Greed loses power when we stop feeding it. Mantra: good enough is great. Greed isn't just a vice found in villains and cautionary tales. It's a deeply human impulse, a desire to feel safe, seen, powerful, or worthy. It whispers that just a little more will finally be enough. But left unchecked, it consumes everything: relationships, health, even our sense of self. The good news? We are not slaves to our wiring. We can choose empathy over excess, moderation over mania, and meaning over more. So ask yourself, what are you really chasing? Because maybe, just maybe, what you're really seeking, love, safety, fulfillment, can't be bought, earned, or stored. Sometimes the richest person is the one who feels rich with what they already have.